Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janaballabha Giridvaradhari. Gopi Janaballabha Giridvaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Janaballabha Giridvaradhari. Jai Gopi Janaballabha Giridvaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishabham Savarajikachaya Stote to the Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj to the Prabhupada ki. Jai Vishabham Savarajikachaya Stote to the Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Go pray Madandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 23, Devahūti's Lamentation, Text 53. Etāvatālaṁ kālena, vyatikrāntena me prabho, indriyārtha-prasaṅgena, parityakta-parātmanaḥ, etāvatālaṁ kālena, vyatikrāntena me prabho, indriyārtha-prasaṅgena, parityakta-parātmanaḥ, etāvatālaṁ kālena, vyatikrāntena me prabho, indriyārtha-prasaṅgena, parityakta-parātmanaḥ, Vaishnavis. etāvatā, so much, alam, for nothing, kālena, time, vyatikrāntena, pass by, may, my, prabho, O my Lord, indriya-artha, sense gratification, prasaṅgena, in the matter of indulging, parityakta, disregarding, para-ātmanaḥ, knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Translation. This is Devahūti speaking to her husband, Gardama Muni. Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Purport. Human life is not meant to be wasted like that of the animals in sense gratificatory activities. Animals always engage in sense gratification, eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, but that is not the engagement of the human being. Although, because of the material body, there is need of sense gratification according to a regulative principle. So in effect, Devahūti said to her husband, so far we have these daughters, and we have enjoyed material life in the aerial mansion, traveling all over the universe. These boons have come by your grace, but they have all been for sense gratification. Now there must be something for my spiritual advancement. Translation again. Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're listening to a lamentation and especially a regret. Devahūti is regretting how she and her husband spent their time. Of course, you have to bear in mind that Gardama Muni is no ordinary person. He's an extraordinary mystic yogi who dealt with the material side of his family affairs in a way that no one can imitate. Don't try. With his mystic power, he did incredible things to compact, to package immediately all his material affairs needed by his wife. He gave her 9 daughters who took birth all at once on the same day of conception. Now try to do that. If you want to follow in the footsteps of Gardama Muni, you've got to do all that. You've got to have 9 daughters instantaneously taking birth on the same day as the conception. So it's interesting that in spite of all this mystic power going on and this cosmic enjoyment on the level of the cosmos, still Devahūti is lamenting. Her husband is about to depart. He's fulfilled most of his promises. There was one remaining item. She senses the end of this affair is coming. And so now she's expressing, I didn't take advantage of you for what you can really offer. We spend so much time in opulence and sense gratification. I didn't take advantage of what you can really give. Etāvatālaṁ, kālena. So much time spent for nothing. Very important point. As Shukadeva Goswami says in the second canto of Bhagavatam, Kim pramatasya bahubhi. What's the use of having a long life wasted, bewildered by years of experience? Better a short life. Better live for a few moments in full Krishna consciousness than to waste your life for nothing. If you do some research, you'll find out that the human lifespan on this planet is very tiny compared to other living entities. There are trees in California that have been here almost practically since the time of Lord Krishna's presence to ordinary vision. According to the scientists, they've been around for 4,800 years. There are trees in the UK that have been around for 2,000 years. There are creatures in the ocean, sharks and turtles, that live for 200 years. So what is so great about a human life of not even 100 years these days, wasted by bewilderment? Here you see Devahūti, such a class person, such a high-class, elegant person beyond what we could ever understand in today's crazy culture. She's the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, the granddaughter of Lord Brahma. And so she's lamenting, she's regretting. She's teaching us that regret plays a major role in spiritual life. Generally, we regard regret as something debilitating, something negative, holding you back. Just get over it, everyone says. Get over it, let it be. The past is what? In the past. Let go. Regret is considered something you do just for a split second and then get on with it. Get on with your life in this fast-paced world. You've got to get your share before the end of life. You don't have time to regret anything. Only the losers, the weak persons, regret and spend time thinking about regret. So there are different ways you can regret in different affairs. Wealth, family, studies. Sometimes regrets are classified in another way. There are foundational regrets. Oh, why didn't I lay a proper foundation for my life by exercising? Now I'm old, I regret that I didn't exercise. I didn't lay the foundation for my health. Or why didn't I save some money? Now I'm of age of retirement, I have no life savings. I didn't lay that foundation of finance. And then there are regrets of initiative. I should have taken that opportunity when I had it. A business opportunity, a job opportunity, a relationship opportunity. That brings us to the next regret. Connectivity. Why didn't I pursue that friendship? Why didn't I consider that possible marriage partner? Time has passed me by. And then finally, moral regrets. I really did something bad. Why did I do that? So, in Kali Yuga, the dogma is, don't dwell on these things. Get on with your life. Move forward. But in bhakti, we understand that regret is progressive. It's a forward-impelling emotion. Bhakti is amazing because it teaches us how to use all emotions in Krishna's service. And every emotion has its perfectional stage, its perfectional expression. Just like in the most exalted case, Madhavendra Puri, about to leave this world, regretting, lamenting, imperfection. Oh, I could not attain Mathura. Oh, I could not attain Krishna. I could not attain Krishna's shelter. And you know, when Ramachandra Puri the so-called disciple, was present with him. Hearing this, Ramachandra Puri said, "What? Well, wait a minute. Where is your Purna Brahmananda? Where is your full Brahman bliss and perfection? What is this regret? What is this mathura?" Ramachandra Puri had been affected by Mayavadis. And so Madhavendra Puri further laments, just see, I couldn't attain mathura, I couldn't attain Krishna, and now in my last moments in this world, I have this rascal here telling me I should think of Brahman. It doesn't get any worse than this. Of course, if you mistake Madhavendra Puri's lamentation, his regret, expressions of regret, to be material, as Ramachandra Puri did, then this is very offensive. He's at the highest pinnacle of feeling love of Krishna in separation. Just like the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Manusya Janama Paya, Radha Krishna na bhajiya. I spent my life uselessly. I wasted my human form of life. I did not develop love for Radha and Krishna. I willfully drank poison. I did it knowingly. Let me engage in karmic activity. Let me please me. I did it willingly. I drank that poison on purpose. Meanwhile, what's going on? Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtan. This holy name, the Sankirtan movement, has descended from Golok, and I have no attraction for it. So Narottam Das Thakur is teaching us how to lament. Regret, lament have an enormous role in bhakti. So Devahūti is saying, up until now, we've wasted so much time. I didn't take advantage of your true glories. I didn't know who you really are. Now I'm understanding. So this is her very eloquent way of saying, don't go yet. Think of the regret of Ajamil. He had just witnessed the dialogue between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The Yamadutas had explained principles of dharma within the modes of material nature, whereas the Vishnudutas were explaining dharma that's transcendental, beyond the modes. Dharma related perfectly to Krishna. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. So Ajamil witnessed this dialogue between the two and emerged from his witnessing he emerged as a pure devotee. And he began to lament. Oh, how I wasted my life in sinful activity, the worst possible sinful activities. I was a thief, I was a drunkard, I'm living with a prostitute. Doesn't get any worse than that. The hell with me, the hell upon me. So he goes on for several verses expressing his lamentations in different ways, reviewing his life. I threw away my very wonderful Brahmani wife. I tossed her aside for a prostitute. I neglected my parents. I didn't take care of them in their old age. I didn't do anything right. I did everything wrong. So you might think, well, okay, enough is enough. You're beating yourself up, as they would say these days. Don't be so heavy on yourself. But Ajamil was not simply heavy on himself, he was proactive. He immediately left his situation and took off for Hardwar to perfect his life. He realized the Vishnudutas haven't taken me back to Godhead. They haven't taken me back to Godhead yet because I'm not ready. So I heard their discussion with the Yamadutas and then they left. So I'm going to Hardwar to perfect my life. And sure enough, as you know, the Vishnudutas came back to take him back to Godhead. once he was ready. So his regret was very positive, very motivating, very impelling. So as Vaishnavas, we're not ashamed of regret, no matter how good others may think we are. We know we could always do more for Krishna, better for Krishna. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes that the same mind that gives us so much trouble can act wonderfully for taking us back to Godhead. Just think about that. The same mind that harasses us with thoughts and plans and concoctions, that same mind can act in another way. When will that day be ours? So regret can be a powerful, enlivening emotion. And in fact, I'm going to prove to you that regret is essential, an essential ingredient in spiritual life. Let's hear directly from His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Commenting on a verse in which Ajamil is going down memory lane with all his sordid history. I did this, I did that, I threw this away, I threw that away. All condemnation upon me. So what does Prabhupada say? All right, Ajamil, enough. Be positive. You're not, everyone in Kali Yuga or those taking on habits of Kali Yuga, even in other yugas, they will behave like this. No. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is the mentality of one who's becoming a pure devotee. When one is elevated to the platform of devotional service by the grace of the Lord and the spiritual master, one first regrets his past sinful activities. This helps one advance in spiritual life. The Vishnu Dutas had given Ajamil the chance to become a pure devotee. And the duty of a pure devotee is to regret his past sinful activities in illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. Not only should one give up his past bad habits, but he must always regret his past sinful acts. This is the standard of pure devotion. Very interesting, isn't it? We never thought so much of regret. We never thought it was such a big thing in bhakti. But Prabhupada describes it as the behavior of a pure devotee and necessary on the path to pure bhakti. Not only is our Ajamil going to regret, but he's going to express determination. I did like this, I will not do like that. I am determined. And as we said, he was proactive. He left immediately for Hardwar. He left his family. He was very old, understand. His son Narayan, Ajamil, had at a very old age. He was way overdue to depart from his family situation according to the classic Vedic system. So now Devahūti is lamenting, and she's lived such an exalted life. Her husband and her were no ordinary sense enjoyers. They followed the regular principles. Kardama Muni never forgot how to control his mind and senses. But as a husband, he gave his wife some children. And he also never forgot that he told her father, at the right time, I'm leaving home. You can give me your daughter to marry, but there'll come a time when I'm going to renounce, when I'm going to leave home. Now what is Devahūti going to do? She's going to make a plea for fearlessness. Before you go, think about me and my fearfulness. Material existence is very fearful. This is her very eloquent way of asking for a son. Everything is so high class in Bhagavatam, so cultured. It really teaches us how to smooth our rough nature, whether rough edges or a rough core. Bhagavatam can do that. So she's going to make her presentation. Don't leave me in fearfulness. In other words, give me a son. So as you know, Kardama Muni will bring about the presence of Lord Kapila Dev, not just any old son. The Bhagavatam describes how in the semina of Kardama Muni, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared. Now, you think, well, does that mean the Supreme Lord is a product of biology, secretions? Krishna is everywhere. To deal with Lord Nrsingadev, to deal with Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsingadev appeared from a pillar. What about Varaha appearing from the nose of Lord Brahma? So what's the big deal about the Supreme Lord appearing in the semina of Kardama Muni? And as soon as the Lord appears, Kardama Muni leaves home. As he promised, he told her father, I'm going to do that. I'm not sticking around forever. So Devahūti and her lamentation is very constructive. What's another example of lamentation in which we're instructed? Don't put yourself in a situation in which you lament like this. Dhruva Maharaj, his prayers of lamentation are wonderful to study. Generally, we may focus in Dhruva Maharaj history, we focus on his glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead upon seeing the Lord. He was meditating on the Lord in the core of his heart, and suddenly that Lord disappeared. Dhruva opened his eyes, and there is the Supreme Lord in front of him. So we focus on that usually. What benediction did he ask for? Give me the association of pure devotees who are always hearing and chanting your glories. At that point, he was feeling ashamed. He's seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the perfection of life, but he's feeling ashamed. He's feeling even afraid. I've blown it. I've wasted my opportunity. I'm seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what was my objective? To get a bigger kingdom than anyone in my family line, which includes my great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. These were my motives. And I wanted revenge against my brother. I wanted revenge against my stepmother, Saruchi. I had pride. I was selfish. I wanted retribution. I didn't listen to Narada Muni when he told me, you're just a little boy, 5 years old. Why are you so hung up on being dishonored? It's just a transitory thing. Narada Muni tried to instruct me. I couldn't swallow it. At least he honestly replied to Narada Muni that your instruction is wonderful, but I can't swallow it. A disciple has a right to discuss that with the spiritual master, like, your instruction is the right thing to do, but unfortunately, I'm very weak. I can't get my head around it in terms of acting on it. So Dhruva Maharaj, in his shame, is going to express regret. That here I am, face to face with Muktipati, the master of all liberations. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj didn't ask for liberation. He asked for the association of pure devotees hearing and chanting, because at that moment he knew in such association that is beyond liberation. Liberation is of whatever type just accompanies my being where pure devotees are hearing and chanting. So here I am, face to face with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can solve all my material problems, who can give me the greatest gift. And what do I ask for? Material benedictions. What a fool am I. Now, what about from the side of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why did the Supreme Personality of Godhead disregard Dhruva's material motivations and give Dhruva the best of everything material? He gave Dhruva an eternal residence on an eternal planet, Dhruvaloka, or the pole star, within the material cosmos, but never annihilated. Why did he give Dhruva that? And gave him 36,000 years to rule in complete prosperity and complete material happiness. So you would say, well, this sounds like a pretty good deal. Why doesn't Dhruva rejoice? He's got the bhakti, he's got the darshan of the Supreme Lord, and he's got the material goodies too. Who would lament about that? When will Krishna treat us like that? Yes, give me pure bhakti, give me the sadhu sangha, and give me the other stuff too. So you were thinking, what does Dhruva have to complain about? But Dhruva is feeling ashamed. He's regretting. I just wanted broken pieces of glass, whereas I could have gotten the greatest jewel. So Krishna is thinking, as Prishnigarbha, that incarnation, is thinking, Dhruva did follow the instructions of Narada Muni. His actions speak louder than his motivations. And what can you say? The Acharyas explain that the Supreme Lord's thinking like this. What can you say about Dhruva? He's a Kshatriya kid. Of course he wants honor. This shows you that the Supreme Lord is not some kind of severe taskmaster. Oh, Dhruva, you've got material desires. You're going nowhere. No, he's a Kshatriya. 5-year-old Kshatriya. That's his varna, and he's also a little child, so he made a childish request of me. But he did approach Narada Muni, or Narada Muni approached him, and he followed the instructions of Narada Muni. So that's what I'm looking at. So again, the wonder, why doesn't Krishna treat us like that? Remember, I always love to quote the example of Sudama Vipra. You know how he went to Dwarka, pushed by his wife, to ask Krishna for some prosperity, a little maintenance at least. In a nutshell, his wife was right to push him. They were too poverty-stricken. They were wearing rags. She was trembling with not getting enough to eat. But he refused to go at first. She kept pushing him. Remember your childhood friend, Krishna. He'll give you something. And Sudama Vipra was protesting. No, I can't go ask any material benefit from Krishna. But his wife kept up. She was right, the Acharyas say. And he kept resisting. He was right, the Acharyas say. So finally he solved the paradox. All right. I'll go to Dwarka simply to show my face because my wife is pushing me, but I get a chance to see Krishna. That's all he's thinking about. Yeah, I'll go. Okay, I'll go. But he's not thinking I'll go to get the money. He's thinking a chance to have the darshan of the Supreme Lord. He didn't really expect to find his way to the palace of the Lord upon arrival in Dwarka. But by the arrangement of the Lord's internal potency, he went to the right palace of the principal wife of Krishna, Rukmini. So you know what happened there, how the Lord received him so wonderfully, sitting him on the couch that he would normally sit with Rukmini, having Rukmini fan him. So the next morning, Sudama left, and Krishna followed him, walked beside him. That's how you mark the departure of an esteemed guest. You walk him or her to the door, or as far as the entrance to your abode is. So then Krishna goes back to the palace. And what does Sudama say? How glorious is my Lord. He didn't give me anything. What is this bhakti? This is very contradictory. It's too beyond us. Sudama is celebrating. He's glorifying. My Lord didn't give me anything. He knew that if he gave me a drop of material opulence, I'd fall down. How wonderful my Lord is. He didn't give me anything. Of course, when he got home, he saw a huge surprise. But what about Dhruva? Vidura, in his discussions with Maitreya, in that chapter where Dhruva Maharaj's lamentation is presented, Vidura asked this very question. Dhruva, in other words, what's Dhruva got to lament about? He followed the instructions of Narada Muni, and in 6 months, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Finished, right? All glories. Leave it at that. Leave it at that. Why was Dhruva lamenting? So then there's subsequent deep discussion about how Dhruva is realizing the glories of pure bhakti and understanding he made a great mistake. He's showing the standard. Whereas Krishna, and as Prishnigarbha, is showing that I trust you with material opulence. So even though you're lamenting and ashamed, I'm going to fulfill all your desires. I'm going to pour it on you, material opulence. Just like in the case of, well, it's a different situation, but in the case of Sudama, you know what happened when he got home. He saw wealth that surpassed King Indra's wealth. Why did the Supreme Lord do that? The Acharyas point out that Sudama was a bit too attached to renunciation. Sometimes we can be too attached to material enjoyment, but he was too attached to renunciation. So the Supreme Lord said, oh, you're so attached to renunciation, take the wealth of Indra, deal with that. Oh, if Krishna would only treat us like that. That's real bhakti. Look, the point is that our relationship with Krishna is very personal. He knows what is best for us. So in the case of Dhruva, he fulfilled Dhruva's material desires. Besides giving Dhruva spiritual perfection, he fulfilled his material desires. Because, Prabhupada points out, that the Supreme Lord is thinking Dhruva can handle it. The same with Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was awarded so much opulence, although all he asked for was service to the Supreme Lord. Nothing more. You're eternally my master. I'm eternally your servant. I want nothing more than this. Krishna knows how to deal with us all. And gradually, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we get that conviction as we transit the ups and downs of circumstances in the material world. As we become more mature devotees, we start to think about statements like what Srila Prabhupada makes, that a real devotee accepts whatever the Supreme Lord sends their way. Happiness, distress, reversals, successes, whatever the circumstance, the real devotee jubilantly accepts that. I've been always wondering about that. Jubilantly accepts reversals? But this is the level of bhakti that just by hearing about it, we develop in our heart an aspiration. I want to be the real thing. I want to be a real devotee. So Dhruva is showing by his example. Vidura is asking Maitreya, didn't Dhruva, he saw the Supreme Personality, got it after 6 months. Like, what more does anyone want? What's he lamenting for? But when you study Dhruva's prayers or lamentation, your depth of bhakti deepens. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was asking for. I was a little kid. I was so foolish. I'm ashamed. I'm afraid that the Lord will simply focus on my material motivations to get revenge, retribution. I'm afraid of that. It is a fact that the Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfilled Dhruva's previous desires before Dhruva saw him, and then fulfilled his newly developed spiritual desires. So by studying lamentation in the Bhagavatam, by studying regret, our spiritual life can move forward. And ultimately, we can understand the perfection of spiritual regret at the highest level. When you read Nectar of Devotion, soon to come in the version of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by the BBT, I like to talk about that because it's stunning, the depth and range of Rupa Goswami's science of bhakti emotions, including regret. All the emotions are there in perfection, with examples given from all the Leelas. I'm working on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu now, and it's a wonder. It's going to be 5 volumes, 700 pages each. How from all that did Prabhupada get one concise book, Nectar of Devotion? I don't know. It's beyond all conception how he could do that. He actually started commenting on the first 25 verses, and then for some reason stopped. So we'll have all of Prabhupada's commentary, of course, and then we'll have sporadic commentaries done by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who, in his Chaitanya Charitamrita rendition, whenever there was a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he would write commentary. We'll have that there. And then, of course, throughout the whole text is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami. But you have Nectar of Devotion. And there you see, you get a glimpse of emotions in perfection. So when we hear Devahūti expressing her regret, hopefully we'll see more depth in that now. Prabhupada begins the purport by saying, human life is not meant to be wasted like that of the animals in sense gratificatory activities. So Devahūti's attitude expressed to her husband was, all right, we've got these daughters. She's got 9 daughters all at once. We've enjoyed material life, flying around in the aerial mansion. But even though all this has come about by your grace, how about something for my spiritual advancement? They're not karmic enjoyers, but she's sincerely feeling that way. We wasted our time. Give me something for my spiritual life. She's no ordinary person. He's no ordinary person, but still they're having these emotions. And then you have the perfection of lamentation and regret, Madhavendra Puri, showing you the pinnacle of love of Krishna and separation. I could not attain Mathura. I could not attain Krishna. I could not attain Krishna's shelter. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, wonderful class, and you give wonderful examples. So I'm taking one more, this Narad Muni with Vasudeva. They met in 11th canto, and Vasudeva also regrets that I asked son like you, but not a bhakti. I think it's indirectly referred there in 11th canto. Can you throw some light on that?
Can what?
Some light on that. His regret, Vasudeva's regret.
As you have said, it's there in the 11th canto. Thank you for your comment. The more you start looking in the Shastra for the perfection of emotions, you'll be astonished what you find. Narottam Das Thakur says all the emotions can be used in Krishna's service. lust, anger. Even at the topmost portion of the spiritual world, envy is used to give Krishna pleasure. Why is he spending so much time with that one? Why not me? But that's not done out of selfishness. That's done to give Krishna pleasure. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we see in the case of Dhruva, when the Lord appears before him, he says that I was foolishly looking for some pieces of broken glass. In the case of Kardama Muni, we see that when the Lord appears before him, he understands that getting involved with married life is not the right thing to do. But he says, but still I'm so shameless that I'm asking you for a wife. So in both the cases, the Lord appears before Dhruva Maharaj, and here in the case of Kardama Muni. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, he realizes that material life is useless, or material benedictions are useless. But Kardama Muni is expressing his regret that I still have this desire to get married. So how do we understand this difference? What determines when the Lord appears, somebody gives up all their material desires, or someone regrets but still requests the Lord?
Kardama Muni needed to marry to bring Lord Kapila Dev in the world. He's no ordinary person. He's the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he's expressing himself in that way. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. How do we understand the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur when he
When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was leaving this world, he was lamenting, he was dissatisfied. Whatever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did was perfect. Brahmaswar Prabhu.
Great. Elevating class. As far as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he told our Prabhupada that my other disciples are fighting over which room they'll get. That was his lamentation, and that Prabhupada should stay aloof from that to take the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Maharaj, regarding regret, as a materialistic person, when we are progressing in spiritual life, we have so many regrets that Krishna doesn't fulfill. And will he give bhakti? There is, in the regret, there is a doubt in general to most of the practicing devotees, whether we will get bhakti. So what is the solution for that?
As you'll read so many times in Prabhupada's purports in his books, a real devotee is thinking, I'm the servant of my spiritual master, I'm dedicated to the mission of my guru, and what may become of me becomes of me. But I'm clinging to the instructions of my spiritual master in parampara. So it's not so much about when will Krishna recognize me and my glorious service? I've been doing so much for years. Where is Krishna? We take the order of Lord Chaitanya as it's coming through parampara. Wherever we go, whomever we meet, teach the science of Krishna. That's the same as Krishna saying, surrender to me. Both Krishna and Lord Chaitanya harmonize in that their final instruction sounds different, but it's actually the same. Krishna says, surrender to me. Lord Chaitanya says, wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna. On my agya, on my order. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. You were talking about Ajamil's overdue entrance into the latter two ashrams. But the thought came to mind that Ajamil also had a young son at home. And of course, in the West these days, people are getting married later and having kids later.
He was very old.
Yeah. So did he actually
Anyone remember the age?
I think it was 80 or something.
80. Don't you think he had done his dash?
Yeah, but just the question came to mind because in the West especially, people are getting married later and having kids later, meaning that the proper time they might still be in the middle of their activity. So was it actually proper for Ajamil to leave?
Ajamil had almost died. He had a near-death experience. Give him a break, How much could he do? He was supposed to have died. Why did the Yamadutas come to get him? Because Ajamil had shortened his life, Bhagavatam explains, by sinful activity. So he still had some life left, but he was dying prematurely because of his sinful activities. So the Vishnu Dutas knew he had more. Normally he'd have more life to live, and also the Vishnu Dutas knew he's not quite spiritually perfect yet. He's a pure devotee, but some things still need to develop. We'll come back. And they did. So what happens in the USA or other parts of the world, what can I say? When you understand it, let me know.
I think that's impossible, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, somewhere in the Bhagavatam it is written that Krishna is captured in repentant heart. So what is the context where it is mentioned?
Krishna is captured in?
Repentant heart.
You're hearing how to do that by Devahūti, by Dhruva Maharaj, by Ajamil. Very clear. And regret is combined with determination. Prabhupada makes that point in the history of Ajamil. He wasn't just, oh, woe is me, hell upon me, and then he didn't change. He put his regret into action immediately. Hare Krishna. Any questions from this side?
It makes me think of the disciple of Jesus Christ. These very often give this example. I'm so sinful, but Jesus Christ came to overcome my sins. And I find this more sinful to think that way.
Ajamil didn't simply lament, as I've just explained. He transformed his life. He witnessed the discussion between the Yamadutas and Vishnudutas, and by that witnessing of the discussion, he became a pure devotee. So he still had some further spiritual progress to make to go back to Godhead. So he went to Hardwar. In the Purport, Prabhupada points out that, therefore we've established Mayapur and Vrindavan, where persons can go in their elderly life and take shelter. He said, they're better than Hardwar. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.